Hello and welcome to Talking Live. I'm Dr. Robi Ludwig right here in Starshot Studio in Times Square. And I am so excited because I have invited an old friend of mine, not old, but I've known him a really long time and I'm so proud of him, Joe Pryor. He is very well known in the business. He is a securities consultant with major Hollywood stars. Jennifer Hudson, Montel Williams, Lionel Richie. We have lots of photographs. And now he is an author of his first book, but not his last book.
Not my last.
No, it's volume 1,
yes.
Called Unlikely Destiny. This is such an amazing book. I've read a lot of books.
Yes.
I've had to read a lot of books. And what I love about your book, other than you're an amazing writer, and I'll tell you what I really love about your writing, is that this is a memoir, but it's also a self-help book. And I've never seen them combined in quite this way, so seamlessly.
Thank you, Robi.
Yeah. And you know, I only speak the truth.
Yes, I know.
I really do. I'm a little blunt for those that know me, but it's really good when I have wonderful things to say because I can say it and I think that's why people trust what I say because it is unedited. Tell me, how did you come up with, first of all, we spoke about the cover privately. How'd you come up with this cover? And the title, I love the title, Unlikely Destiny.
Okay, first of all, the book went through a few transitions.
Okay.
It started out as Focus. And Focus is an acronym which is on the front of the book, from Opportunity Comes Unlimited Success. Yeah. That was the initial book.
Okay.
And then when I started looking at trying to get things done, I had a hard time with trying to get a copyright on the word focus.
Oh.
So I started going through the phases, I guess, or through the steps of trying to put everything together. One morning, I woke up and Unlikely Destiny hit me. So when I looked at Unlikely Destiny, I was like, you know, that's kind of my life. Growing up where I grew up in Watson, Compton, many things happened. I lost a lot of friends. I've been through a lot of changes, but my destiny is now becoming a writer. So it is unlikely that I am going to be a writer, but growing up where I grew up, I never thought that would happen. So Unlikely Destiny, basically, that is where I am in my life right now.
Now, when I knew you, so we met at the Montel Williams show.
Yes.
That was the first show I ever did that was national. I don't know if you knew that.
I didn't know that.
And so Joe was basically Montel's a client of yours.
Yes.
And also Joe is a trusted friend of Montel's. But one of the fun things about going to the show was that we got to chat with you.
Absolutely.
And you were very calming and just so much fun to be around. I realized you were kind of like the Xanax before I even realized what Xanax was. Because before you go on national TV, when you're kind of new, it's, you know, it's a lot of pressure. At that point, now I always realized you were wise because you always had wisdom. But did you want to be a writer then?
I didn't want to be a writer then.
Okay.
I kind of had the idea I wanted to do something in the arts.
Uh-huh.
I wanted to write something. I thought maybe it would be a television show or a screenplay for a film or maybe a stage play. But I didn't have the idea of writing a book in the beginning. But it all started out as I just wanted to do something in the arts. And writing was really what I wanted to do because I've been doing it all my life.
Now, have you been told that you're a great writer?
I've been told that my writing was good in the beginning. And then as I got a little older, I understood the concept of writing.
Yeah.
And I got more into it and I learned and I studied. So as I learned and studied, my writing became better.
What I love about the stories in the book is you are so descriptive that the images stay with me.
Good.
So so in addition to the self-help advice, there were just such powerful images of losing a best friend and the impact that had on you.
Yes.
And one of my favorite stories was a description of how you felt about prisoners who were reading a dictionary at the time.
Yes.
And it was so funny because, and I'll let you tell the story, but I was thinking, oh, that seems like a really good idea to read a dictionary. And I was glad that you came to that conclusion. So the way you write, you write in very vivid imagery that lasts.
That's what I see when I sit down to write anything. I see the actual image of what I'm writing.
Yeah.
So that's been a blessing for me. The whole thing with the inmates in the dictionary when I was working in the county jail, I remember guys reading the dictionary, and I remember back in the day there was a show called In Living Color, and there were these two inmates talking, and they would use words in the dictionary that had nothing to do with what they were talking about, but they were using big words.
Yeah.
So I used to laugh and joke about that.
Right.
And then one day I said, wait a second, these guys are trapped
Yeah.
pretty much all day in a cell. What else can they do but educate themselves? And if that means reading a dictionary and understanding what words mean, and that's something as a police officer, we have to know what we're writing when we write a report. When you understand what words mean, it gives better definition to your life.
Yes.
And I found that, and in that, in researching that, the word enlightenment became one of my favorite words, because enlightenment showed me that not that something's given to me, but I came to an understanding of understanding my life in a better way. So enlightenment became my favorite word.
You really talk about your family as being a huge influence, especially your father.
Yes.
In terms of being raised with a philosophy that helped you get out of Compton.
Yes.
In a way that not only helped you to survive, but really to thrive. We have a beautiful picture of your dad, and I think the two of you look alike.
Yes.
How cute is he?
Yep. That's my dad.
God, adorable. But he sounds like a man of few words, but when he would talk, it'd be powerful.
Yes, and that's what I wrote about in the book. My dad didn't say a lot, but when he spoke, I listened. And he didn't play. It was one of those times in our society where, you spare the rod and spoil the child. He didn't spare the rod. So I learned very early that when you make a mistake, you're gonna pay for it. So I learned not to make mistakes. I learned to do things the right way the first time. And as my life went on, that's kind of what I decided to do with myself. I put more pressure on myself to do things the right way all the time.
I mean, I agree with everything that you wrote in the book as far as your self-help ideas. And I think that they're brilliant. Your focus forward mindset.
Yes.
So important, because it's very easy for us to get stuck. And I know we were talking earlier today, and you were saying it was very hard for you when you were younger.
Yes.
To really dream big. And I had a different experience where when I was younger, I was just naive, magical thinking. I just thought if I wanted it, it would happen. And it was actually in adulthood, getting faced with no's and being humbled by reality, that it became harder to stay true to the dream.
Yeah, I think the focus forward mindset is almost childlike. Because as a child, when you make a mistake, you sometimes learn from them.
Yeah.
But in most cases, you forget about things. You let things go. It's just like an athlete who is playing a particular sport. If you're a basketball player, or if you're a football player, or baseball player, you may strike out 20 times and then you realize I was doing something wrong. Each time you go up to bat, each time you go to the free throw line, each time you get ready to throw the ball or catch the ball as a receiver or a quarterback, you have to have the mindset that it's going to work this time. And the focus forward idea is every time I do something, I'm going to try and do it better each time. But I have to forget about the mistake or the negative that's in my mind that will not allow me to move my life focus forward. That's where the whole focus forward idea came from.
And that's very challenging because, and you talk about that in the book, and you give different strategies, and you say that your hope is that where a person starts out psychologically at the beginning of the book,
yes,
that they'll end up in a much stronger place. And really to train ourselves mentally, it's constantly putting ideas that are in Joe's book in your mind.
You have to.
You have to, because it's far more easy to feel negative, to feel like a victim, to not believe in oneself, or to not believe in the world that you're relying on. And so really to make it, you need to be mentally tough.
You have to be mentally tough, and then at the same time, you can develop your mental capabilities to be a tougher person,
right?
To be stronger mentally. What winds up happening a lot of times is every idea that you get that's going to come to you is coming to you for a reason. And that's one of the things I want people to understand. Every thought you get was meant for you. Most people don't understand that. They say, oh, it's a thought about something that I'm not doing. Yeah, but it's a thought and it came to you.
Right.
And if that thought keeps coming back to you, it's coming back to you for a reason. You should take your time and take a look at that thought and say, well, maybe this is something I need to look into. Excuse me. Maybe there's something I need to look into. And if you do decide to do that, once you look into it, maybe it's something that you can do. But every thought you have is going to be followed by a negative.
Yes.
That's just human nature.
Right.
We think something, I can't do that. We think something, that's not going to happen for me. We think something, why should that happen for me? Instead of saying, that can happen for me, I believe I can do it, and I should be doing that. Most people don't think that way.
And you also talk about the importance of, I love how you mentioned the important teachers in your life and the mentors along the way. And you even just said, oh, we have the many, many famous people. And believe me, there were many more. We just couldn't fit them all in. We have Blake Lively and Bridget Moynihan.
Bridget Moynihan,
right?
yes,
She's
from Blue
gorgeous.
Bloods, yes.
Lionel, who
Lionel Richie was
I
my
think you should
first-
tell
he's
the
one of the first people I worked
story.
with,
Yeah. But you talk about, and I just want to say that Montel wrote the foreword
Yes.
in your book, and he's
And it's
also
a
a
beautiful
beautiful.
foreword, yes.
It really is, and it's heartfelt.
He's an amazing person.
You could tell his love for you
Yes.
in the foreword, which I really liked. We also have a picture of you and Montel. That's probably an older picture because
An older
Montel
picture,
looks
yeah.
a little bit different. We have a picture of the three of us from a recent
Yes.
party. Oh, actually,
And
we
Dr.
included
Jeff,
Jeff
too.
Gardier in that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Dr. Jeff, yes.
that was kind of the old days, the old Montel. But he wrote a quote which I thought just described you so well, and then we'll get into some of the other philosophy, which I love that you talk about. Joe, with his characteristic wisdom, sensitivity, and keen insight, tackles the big question that confront every one of us. How do you achieve a big dream? And it really is something we all
Yes.
want to know how to do.
Well, the easiest way to achieve a big dream is to learn how to dream.
Yeah.
Most people don't do that. I talk about there are groups of people in the world, and I call them the tens. Mm-hmm. Tens believe they can do anything.
Now, is that some of the people that you've worked with, like some of the high-profile people? Are they the tens?
Everybody that I've worked with, I think, is a 10.
Okay.
Because they don't believe there's anything they can't do. Mm-hmm. So, and that's the mindset you have to have. Even if you don't understand the concept of doing something outside of thinking outside the box, which is one of the chapters in the book, or being open to any and everything, which is one of the acronyms I call BOTE. Mm-hmm. When you're open to any and everything, that means, and I have this quote in the book, I say, we are in the universe, but the universe is in us.
Yeah.
So if the universe is in us, there's endless possibilities to the world that you live in. But it all starts with you understanding the mindset that you have to do these things.
You're also a very positive and spiritual person, even
Absolutely.
though you don't refer to anything religious. You talk about everything. Let me see if I can describe it in the right way. Everything that's meant to happen will. And that's a comforting idea because I think sometimes we feel like we're missing out on fate.
Well, what it is for me, I believe things happen in your life the way they're supposed to. And when I say that, you decide to do certain things in your life. You decide to take a certain path. Now, when you're on that path, the things that happen on that path are for you. Mm-hmm. Most people can't see the good things that are happening for them because they live in a negative mindset.
Right.
So that negative mindset keeps them down and they can't see the positive things happening. They took that path. They took the step to get a job, to go to school, to do certain things. But when these good things start happening for them, a lot of times people can't believe that's happening for me. So I believe things happen in your life the way they're supposed to, but you have to be able to see them.
Now, you described this happening in your own life. It happened a lot. But the Lionel Richie story I thought was beautiful. Why don't you tell us about that?
That was crazy.
Yes, and that's kind of things are happening as they're supposed to happen, but you have to be aware of it.
You have to be aware of it. And when I was younger, I didn't know that they were happening. I just acted on the positive things that were going on in my life, even though I lived in a negative world. When I met Lionel, I was a sheriff in LA. I pulled him over one day, driving down Sunset. He's driving at Mach 1, pull him over, warn and advise him, tell him to slow down. I see it's him. I love his work.
Yeah.
And I say, just do me a favor, just slow down. He goes, hey, I like, your style, blah, blah, blah. I'm not thinking that I'm having favor with this person.
Right.
So I don't know that at this time.
No.
He goes, hey, here's a card. Give my security person a call. I said, I can't do that. We're not really allowed to work security. A couple of weeks later, a friend of mine calls me. I have a friend who's looking for some people to work at Lionel Richie's house. And that's the end of that story. So I'm thinking,
Lionel probably thought he couldn't get enough of Joe, and he just is like, I have to, because that's how you feel when you meet Joe. You're like, we just want more of
Oh, I
Joe. It
appreciate
really
that.
is true, though.
I've been extremely blessed in my life to work with good people, and I've gotten to a point now where I refuse not to work with good people.
Yeah.
I've made it to that point where I don't have to work with people I don't really care to work
Don't you
with.
feel like once you arrive at like midlife, you just know yourself better?
You do.
And it's like you don't want to compromise anymore because you know what you're worth, you know what brings out your best, and it's who you put in your circle.
Exactly. And I call that my environment. Your environment is you. You are your environment. Everybody you bring into your life that's not a part of your family, you brought them in.
Yeah.
Now, the people you bring in, the reason you brought
That's
them
on
in
you.
is because of whatever.
Right.
But you have the right at a certain point in your life to be able to say, you know what, I don't want that person in my life anymore.
Right.
And you get rid of those people. It's nothing personal. It's just you need to learn how to live a better life and understand that we don't get a lot of time here. That's one. And two,
Yeah.
I want to live the best life I can and have good people in my life so we can do great things.
Right. You know, you talk about the concept of the mirror, which I want to talk about because that was also a very powerful imagery. But in terms of a therapist, you know, the people that we put in our life is like a mirror reflecting back what we can be or telling us what we can't be. And we tend to believe that because that's what we're around. So that's why in therapy, we teach people to be very careful about who's in your inner circle because that will influence your fate.
It does.
And what you become.
Everybody, when I was a sheriff and I worked for the Sheriff's Department after Inglewood PD, one of the things I learned when I worked Oakland or I worked Vice, we interviewed people and everybody that was on drugs was brought into that circle by someone else. Everybody that was working as a prostitute or doing things that were illegal was brought in by somebody. Those are the people they brought into their circle.
Right.
That circle created a corrupt environment for them.
Right.
And now their environment is horrible.
Right.
I decided years ago I wanted to have good people in my environment. So I knew that what I do reflects on the people around me and they reflect on me. So I don't want to bring negative into my environment.
Right.
I won't do that.
Yeah.
I refuse to do that. And if you're negative, it's fine. I don't have to be around you.
It's like you do you.
You do you, I do me.
And when you can be a little positive, then you can come in my circle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I try and influence people by letting them see that this is the life I'm living. If you want to be a part of it, that's fine. If you don't, I'm not going to be upset about it because I'm not going to waste time living my life worrying about what you think about me.
But that's the best way to influence someone to actually live your word.
You have to.
To be an example. Because if you tell people what to do, they're not going to listen.
And that's the whole point of the book. I don't want to tell people what to do.
And
I want to show them what I've done and give them an example to look at and say, okay, maybe I can do things his way, or maybe I can change things just a little bit, but I know what path he took. Because you can't live my life and I can't live yours.
Right.
But I can show you what I'm doing with mine to help you with yours.
And I think really the sense that I got from reading your book is that, and you mentioned this, that destiny can be lost if your mindset is not healthy.
Exactly.
And so you want everyone to have a healthy mindset so that breeds dreams and growth.
As children, we can do whatever we want as children. We limit ourselves as we get older.
Yeah.
You know, Montel has this quote he used to say all the time: the tragedy of life is what dies inside a man as he or she lives.
So true.
So as you get older, and this goes into looking in the mirror, everything that you do, you bring that to the mirror and you start looking at yourself and you start tearing yourself down. The whole concept of looking in the mirror is looking into your eyes. Most people just look at their face. They look at the superficial parts of themselves, their ears, their nose, their lips, their teeth. They don't look into their eyes. When you look into your eyes, they say the eyes are the windows to the soul. So when you look into your eyes and you start looking at yourself,
that's hard.
You can get a true assessment of yourself,
right?
But you have to be willing to do that. Those are the things I talk about in chapter 2 in the book, Look in the Mirror.
That's right. And I think that that's key. I think that strategy is really going to help people. You know, instead of just looking at your wrinkle or the hair that's wrong, it's who am I and who do I want to be?
You have to be honest.
When I was young, I used to love looking in a mirror in my bedroom because it almost felt like a parallel universe.
Yes.
You know, it almost felt like another world. And I think that's another way to use the mirror to see the possibility of really who you are, but it hasn't been developed yet.
Exactly. You can aspire to be whatever you see in the mirror.
Yeah.
That's a simple phrase, but it works. You can aspire to be whatever you see in the mirror. You have to start seeing yourself in a better light.
You talk about the power of visualizing and how you used it to create this book.
I had to believe, once I got in my mind that I was going to write a book, I had to believe I can write a book. I had to believe I could write a book. I had to believe I can write a book. And then I had to write the book.
And for anyone who hasn't done it, it's a major task.
It is.
It's overwhelming. Even if you have done it.
It is.
It's a labor of love. It's like giving birth, but it's challenging.
It is, especially if you put a lot of personal stuff in the book.
Yeah.
Because you're putting your feelings and you're putting your life on pages, and people are going to read it.
Right.
And they're going to judge you based on it.
Right.
But it's okay, because I'm happy with me. So I don't mind people judging me based on it. But when you look at what I wrote, as far as, like I said, when I said about what I was talking about, chapter 2, there's clarity in thought, clarity in vision, clarity in memory, and clarity in others.
We talk about the four clarities. I love them.
Yes.
I think this should be in a textbook.
Yes, it should be.
The clarity of thought, which is you challenge yourself to believe beyond, right?
You have to believe the things that you think can be done.
Yeah.
That's what you have to believe. Every thought you have to believe they can be done.
Right.
When you get to the clarity and vision, the vision is what takes you to the next level, because you have to be able to see. That's what I do in the mirror. You have to be able to see the vision of what you want to have done. When you get to the memories,
that's one of my favorites.
Every memory that you have, listen to this, every memory that you have is there for you. It was put in your memory to be used, not just to be thrown away, good, bad, or otherwise. Everything that you learn is stored in a box inside you. You have to be able to use it. And clarity in others. The others is, in the book I said it should possibly be called Clarity in You, but clarity in others is basically the perception you have of yourself and the perception people have of you. And you have to be able to see the right people around you in order to see who you are. That's where the perception comes in. So when you get to the whole others part, it's really a blessing to be able to see the people that are around you coming back to you, from them to you, from you to them. That's a blessing.
I completely agree. And I would even say, if somebody wanted to take this book and work chapter by chapter with a therapist, they would work beautiful together.
I appreciate you saying that.
Oh, I mean, really, it's very...
Because what you do, I understand.
Because it's very true. But, I mean, we kind of do the same thing. It's just, it's approaching it from a different way.
Exactly.
And I think, it's really almost meditative when someone writes a book that's really powerful. People can sit, and you don't know when they have that aha moment. It could be just from turning that page.
I've had several people reach out on Instagram and on Facebook, inboxing me and say, I've been reading your book and something just hit me.
Yeah.
I've had that happen time and time again. And it's just such a good feeling.
Yeah.
And it's not a feeling of my ego.
Right.
It's a feeling of what I wanted to do with this in the first place, is help people.
Your intention was clear.
My intention was to help people.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I wanted.
Yeah.
I want people to understand that you are the key to your success. You're also the key to your failure. So why not be successful? Why not move in that direction? You have to start believing in the fact that you are the key to what goes on in your life.
And I would say that, some people have a hard time with that because they really don't have the self-esteem, or they're self-destructive. And I think really the mindset is, if people do better, the whole world is really a better place.
It is.
Don't you want to interact with people that are happy and successful and wish well for you and support you in your journey? That's what happens when someone achieves what they're supposed to achieve.
Exactly. The better you are at doing the better you are at getting to a point where you can do what you want to do for your living and your life, it makes you feel better, but it also will make the people around you better.
Yeah.
Again, you create a good environment.
Right.
And when you create a good environment, it makes a better life for everybody involved.
That's right. It has a ripple effect.
Yes.
I just want to mention the acronym because this was one of my favorite, CRAP. And I just thought it was so great because it doesn't sound like what you think it's going to mean, but you have creating real and active possibilities.
Yes. Crap for me, when I was younger, I went through a lot of crap, I used to say.
Yeah.
Because you didn't curse in my house because my dad, if he found out. So crap became my word. And creating real and active possibilities is what I brought crap to be. I just wanted to have a better life.
Right.
And I had to start looking at the things going on around me and say, you know what? I get the fact that some of my friends were involved in gangs. I get the fact that some of my friends were doing things they shouldn't have been doing. And I said, I don't want to get involved in that. I always played sports. I played basketball, baseball, and football. So growing up in the 60s, a lot of times you got left alone if you were an athlete. The gangs didn't really bother you that much, especially in your neighborhood. They didn't bother you because they said, oh, he plays basketball, leave him alone. Right. He plays football, leave him alone.
He's not vulnerable.
Exactly. But then I also, like I said, one of the things that kept me from straying into that area was the fact that I had my parents at home. But I just realized that I don't have to live a crappy life.
Right.
I can create real and active possibilities by just doing a little bit more than the person next to me.
Right.
You know, it's just like that thing. There's two guys running from a bear, and the guy says, "I don't think we can outrun this bear." He goes, "Well, no, I don't have to outrun the bear. I just have to outrun you." So
right.
I'm going to outrun you so I can survive. Sometimes that's the cold world, but you got to do what you have to do.
And this book, I think, will help people to get in touch with their inner resiliency,
yes,
which is half the battle in life, figuring out how to regroup, how to change, how to figure out how to be strong under your circumstances, and how to be the person that really you were meant to be. Exactly. Or that you want to be. We do something called the Quick Five.
Oh boy,
but I just want to mention, before we do the Quick Five, I want to mention this icon because it reminds me of a university icon. And I think everybody should join the University of Unlikely Destiny because we all have a secret inside of us, even that's like a mystery to us that we need to find out about.
I love that logo too.
It's so great.
I gave that idea to my stepson and he was able to work that out in like a day.
Yeah, you owe him.
I do.
It's amazing how good kids are about that.
He's in the book on page 2.
Oh, good.
Logo designed by Albert Torado.
I think that's great. All right, we're going to do the Quick Five. What is the best piece of advice you've ever received?
One of the best pieces of advice. I think, you know, for some reason, this quote never leaves me. I remembered Lionel Richie when I first started working with him. He told me, money and power are magnifiers.
Yeah.
If you're a good person, that money and power magnifies a good personality. If you're a jerk, you in most cases will become a bigger jerk. And I will never forget that because I've seen people I've seen guys who were deputy sheriffs with me.
Yeah.
And they promoted and they were jerks as sheriffs. They were a jerk as a sergeant. They were a jerk as a lieutenant and a jerk maybe as a captain. Sometimes they changed a little bit, but you know, money and power are magnifiers. So I'll never forget that. That was from Lionel Richie.
That is good advice. What scares you the most now and why?
The lack of humanity. I have this thing. I believe in humans.
Right.
And when I say humans, I believe in people. And I want people to start looking at the person next to them and seeing a person before they see anything else.
Yeah. Not
their color, not what they're wearing, not where they live, not how they speak. I want them to see the human factor. And I humans, that's what I want people to understand.
We're not there
I'm
yet,
afraid
but hopefully we'll get there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
and this has nothing to do with politics.
No.
This is just people in general.
Right. Yeah.
It's just really sad.
The psychology of difference.
Yes.
Really is what that is. What is the last picture you took with your phone?
The sky.
Nice.
I love clouds. I don't know why.
I do too.
I have lots of cloud pictures, and I post clouds online all the time. So people, they probably think I'm strange, but I love clouds.
Yeah, me too. I like that. They're beautiful. It's very artistic.
Yes.
It's always changing.
I saw a dragon one day.
Did you really?
Yes.
Oh, I like it. I like it. If you could be any age for a week, what age would you be?
Oh my gosh. I would probably. I kind of like where I am. I'm 58. I'm happy.
Yeah.
I'm at a point where I can kind of say what I want.
Yeah.
And I don't have to worry about it. And I feel good saying things. So 58 is fine. I'm good with that.
That's the advantage.
Yeah.
Your best age is now, Joe. Yes. That was my book. Okay. Tell me the 3 best things about you.
Okay. I am loyal to a fault sometimes. I believe in being on time. I'm punctual. I was told this years ago, punctuality is respect for another person's time. So
yes,
I believe in that. And I would probably say I love to laugh. I love comedians. I love comedies.
Uh-huh.
I enjoy laughing.
You like to have fun.
I love to have fun.
Well, I love having you here.
Thank you so
I love
much.
you in general.
I appreciate being
I'm
here.
so proud of you.
Thank you.
And I know this is just the beginning, and we're really honored to have you as the first person doing kind of this TV, Facebook Live interview, because I know
so
you've
much.
promoted in
I'm
other
very
ways.
excited.
And this
Very
is
happy.
not the last. Keep your eye out for Joe. He's going to be everywhere. And don't forget, we're going to have a link out to Unlikely Destiny so that you can get it. You can have one for yourself. You can buy it as a gift. And Joe is very accessible. So if you have a question for him, I'm sure he'll answer it for you.
Yeah, inbox me if you're in New York or wherever you are
Yeah.
looking at this. When I'm in your city, if you want me to do what I call a drive-by and come sign the book, I'll drive by and sign the book.
I think that's great. I think that's great. Thank you so much for joining us on Talking Live, and we'll see you soon.